Hi, I'm Sue. Welcome to The Art of Flavor. With Father's Day around the corner, I'm going to show you how to make the perfectly cooked ribeye steak in a pan and flavor it with a delicious compound butter. All right, let's get started. We're gonna start with the compound butter. What is a compound butter? It's basically softened, unsalted butter mixed with flavorings and other ingredients to enhance it. I've doubled the recipe because I'm going to show you two ways, just a softened compound butter that you can just serve immediately, and I'm going to roll it, I'm going to refrigerate it, and show you how to do it. So I've got 1 cup of unsalted butter, and you want unsalted because you want to control your seasoning. I'm going to add salt. I'm using kosher salt, or you can use Maldon salt. I've got pepper and parsley. I want to make it special. I'm going to make truffle compound butter. You don't need a machine. You're just going to make sure your butter is at room temperature and very soft. I'm just going to stir it, just to use a bit of muscle. I'm going to add black truffle. This is going to enhance your steak because truffle and steak really work well together. And when this butter hits the hot protein, it just enhances it. It's a luxury, but with this little guy, it's a small investment for big flavor. We also have rosemary, because I love the herbal finish of rosemary with steak. The nose on it, it's amazing. It's so fresh. It smells like a handful of fresh rosemary sprigs. Stir that, make sure you combine it really well. Okay, so I'm going to divide this in half. Just going to eyeball it. You've got half going into this little ramekin here for your instant compound butter. Best tools, your hands and your head, because you need to think about what you're doing, basically. So I've got my beautiful compound butter that's ready for enjoyment. And then the other half, I'm going to quickly show you. You need a square of plastic wrap, and you want that, your truffle compound butter, like so, and not quite in the center, but the lower 2/3. Make sure you get all the good butter mixture there. I'm going to stretch that out, and then starting from the bottom, it's kind of like rolling sushi, kind of. Make sure I don't want any bubbles or air pockets. I'm going to tightly roll up like a cinnamon bun, or when you're making bread, if you make bread. And so you want to twist the ends like that, like so. And this is a fun little exercise here. I'm just going to roll it back and forth, and that's going to tighten it. And that is also going to make sure you have a nice circular, cylindrical butter. And you want to chill it until it's firm. It's going to take about 2 hours. And a trick to keeping it perfectly round, because this is so soft, once you place it in the refrigerator, it's going to start settle on the bottom. It's going to be a flat foundation, and it's not perfectly round. So what I do is I take a paper towel. What is this called? It's called a paper towel. It's a paper towel roll. So you cut it in half, okay? So you've got this beauty, right? It's long enough. You cut it in half here, all the way down, lengthwise. And then you roll it in. Then I secure it with little elastic bands. And then I secure it at the end here, so it doesn't loosen up and it doesn't unravel. So you refrigerate it like this, and then when you take it out, it's perfectly round. I'll just show you. Okay. So take this out, you unroll this here. It's been in there for about 2 hours. You've got your compound butter. Of course you can serve this as is. It's great on mashed potatoes, steak, corn on the cob, on chicken breast. It would be great on fish as well. I do love it on anything with protein or potatoes. It's really endless, and you can add abundance of flavors. And with this little guy here, your instant compound butter, you just cover it up. You can keep it in the refrigerator for at least a week. You can freeze it for at least a month. You can finish it with a bit of Maldon salt for a bit of crunch and a little bit more fresh pepper. And then you're ready for your steak. Now that we have our compound butter, we're going to start with the steak. Let's season it. It's a beauty. We're starting with a 1.5 inch thick ribeye steak. This is boneless, but you can go for bone-in if you like. I recommend a thick cut steak, because if you want the beautiful caramelization, then you want it to cook a steak properly on a cast iron pan, is what I recommend. You have to give it the thickness, otherwise you'll cook it right through. So you need a thick steak. I'm patting it dry with paper towel. You want a dry steak because you don't want to steam that beautiful piece of meat. And then I'm going to add I'm using again kosher salt. It's about 1.5 teaspoonfuls of salt. It might sound like a lot to you, but this is a very thick steak. And if you don't start with this amount of salt, it's not going to flavor it through. You also want to make sure all the sides, you need to season the sides, okay? And I can't forget fresh pepper. I've left this at room temperature for at least 40 minutes because it's a very thick cut. It's not going to come to room temperature. So that's ready for the pan. I've got an instant read thermometer, my favorite spatula, a very large spoon, and tongs, and you're ready. And I'm going to turn it on high, and it needs to preheat until it's screaming hot.
Oh, hot, 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 hot.
Because once you add the thick cut steak, it's going to bring the temperature down. You should see a little bit of a haze. I've added my oil, and it should skim the pan very quickly. You know that's hot. I'm adding my steak, and I've added it on the lower part of the pan because I want to move it around. I'm going to flip it every 30 seconds. This is going to maximize the browning. My first flip is still heavy. I'm flipping it over and around the pan because I want to cover the entire pan. What I'm looking for is a beautifully even browned crust. Everyone's going to love you when they see this gorgeous steak. So in total, it's going to take this steak about 8 minutes for a professionally pan-seared steak. So now I'm adding my smashed garlic and my 2 tablespoonfuls of unsalted butter. The reason why you don't add the butter in the beginning is because the milk solids in the butter will brown very quickly and it will burn. And that's why we have a combination of oil and butter. This is where the extra large spoon comes in very handy. This is my favorite to baste. So basically you're basting your steak with this brown butter mixture, and it's going to flavor your steak and it's going to finish cooking off the little spots that weren't evenly browned with the searing. You start off with a gorgeous brown steak. It's going to be this amazing caramel color. And I'm also going to render the fat on the side of the steak too. Again, this is the way I like to render the fat on your steak, and it's going to make it crispy. You kind of rotate it around and let it stand up using your tongs, your handy tongs. Don't be afraid. Kind of rotate it around, get all the sides. I'm going to take the temperature. I just want to make sure it's medium rare. I like my steak medium rare. And just a reminder, it's going to continue cooking after you take your temperature. So you want to take it off a few degrees before your desired doneness. Okay, we want to take it off immediately. I like to rest it on a rack set over a baking sheet. I'm going to let my steak rest for at least 5 to 10 minutes. You can tent it with aluminum foil to keep it nice and hot, and you want to rest it to prevent losing juices when you slice it. That's the key to juicy steak, is letting it sit and rest. I'm going to spoon a healthy dose of our truffle butter, and I'm just going to melt beautifully, and it's going to impart even more butter flavor into your ribeye steak. And then I'm going to thickly slice it across the grain. It's a thick piece of steak. I don't want thin slices. I want to retain the juices, and you cut it across the grain for a tender bite. If you don't cut it across the grain, it won't be as tender. That's why it's always recommended, thickly slice it across the grain. The rest period also helps to keep the juices in, okay? Otherwise, all the juices will run out. It just needs to sit and rest. It's got this beautiful brown butter. It's got a little bit of the garlic, and it's just salt and pepper. But what's going to take it to the next level is the truffle butter. Luxury for dad, but it could be for anyone in your life. You know, luxury for mom too. I'm going to have a little bit of more butter on this here because that's why we're here. Okay. Oh, it's so juicy. Beautiful brown crust. The truffle butter takes it to the next level. It's like a professionally cooked steak at home. Dad will love it. Anyone would love this. It's the best steak you can cook at home and an easy next level truffle butter. And there you have it, a perfectly cooked steak at home. Amazing next level truffle butter. Wishing all the dads out there happy Father's Day. I hope you loved your steak and your next level truffle butter. Let us know your thoughts. Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss an episode. We're hoping to see you next time. Keep it flavorful. One more bite. One, and the juice, a little bit of butter, and then the best steak.